Hey guys, it's Jenny. Alrighty, today we're gonna test another weird medium. This was unplanned though, but I do believe that what we're gonna test out today is actually going to work pretty well. So we're gonna test out microfiber. Now this material will affect two of my current setups, and I'll tell you how it all started with the Vandas. Now, I was having a discussion with my mom. It went along the lines of, hey mom, I'm not really satisfied with Synthic. Its capillary properties are useless. To which my mom replies, well, do you remember when I asked you for Synthic and you were too selfish to send me anything? And you suggested I shred up my microfiber and use it with my Vanda? Well, guess what? Karma. I'm just kidding, it didn't go like that. But my mom really did like the setup that I had for Vandas, and she wanted to do the same with her Vanda, but she didn't have Synthic. So I suggested that she use microfiber since the two materials looked very similar to me. Well, it turns out they're not. And it turns out microfiber is actually a lot better. Mom has been using it with great results, and there are a lot of good things about microfiber and a lot of bad things about Synthic. So let me show you what I mean and also discuss about the change in the Vanda setup. Now for the main part, the concept of my Vanda setup works beautifully. I'm very satisfied. However, the material of the Synthic itself, I really dislike. As I told you before, once it gets used a few times, this material absolutely rejects water. It's not that it doesn't suck it up and direct it to the top, it's simply that it rejects water, and I'm gonna do a little test for you, so you see what I mean. So for me to get the Synthic wet, I do need to soak my Vandas. Now, with the Vandas, it's okay. I still soak them a little bit. I don't leave them a lot of minutes, so it kind of worked. But if I were to use the Synthic in a different setup, a potted setup, I would not be able to use it because it would mean I would need to soak all of my orchids each time I watered. And I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for a material that can absorb water pretty much instantly and not only direct it to the top, such as Seramis. So that's the main thing that I hate about Synthic. But there's another thing. Now, when I purchased the Synthic and I was reading on it, I think I read something about antifungal properties, something of the sorts. They might use a solution that prevents molds and fungi and all of that. Well, if they did, the solution has worn off completely. So what you see here is a little bit of algae, but also it's mold. Let me give you a different perspective. There, that's mold. And it went on the root itself as well. I don't like this. So if Synthic is designed to not attract mold and stuff, it's not working, you guys. This stuff molds, attracts algae, molds, it's pretty horrible. Therefore, I decided I really don't like Synthic. It's a great concept, it's an idea. I just think the material is not chosen properly. And it's not microfiber because it doesn't act like microfiber. Therefore, I decided the beautiful relationship between me and Synthic is officially over. Now with microfiber, I can replicate exactly the environment that Synthic was offering, in the sense that the microfiber retains water, it delivers it to the roots of the Vanda, everything is okay, it's airy, but also it has greater capillary properties. Now for my mother, the microfiber didn't mold, it didn't attract algae. Not sure how that's gonna pan out, but if Synthic is already molding and is already attracting algae, how bad can this be, right? So I decided to remove the Synthic from my Vandas and put some microfiber. And so far it's going pretty great. Now let me give you a demonstration between used Synthic and used microfiber, so you can see what I'm talking about with that repelling water thing. Okay, so here we have a glass of water, a piece of used Synthic coming from that pot, and a piece of used microfiber coming from my mop. So let's see what happens if we place these materials in water. Synthic. Yep, nothing really happens. Let me give you a close-up. It is absolutely floating. And if I leave it like this, it's not even gonna sink to the bottom, trust me. Now let's see what happens to the used microfiber. Well, that was really fast. What this means is that microfiber does not repel water, even if you use it a few times. It also means it has great absorbency and fast absorbency, and not only, it also has great capillary properties. Let's demonstrate that too. Now, by capillary properties, I mean the potential of this material to drag water from the bottom, or wherever it's wet, and distribute it evenly throughout its length. Let's see. I think it's pretty fast. Now, the more I will leave the cloth there, the more water it will absorb. This is what I was looking for when I purchased Synthic, and sadly, it did do this in the beginning, but then it just stopped. When you use Synthic a few times, it will stop dragging water like that. So this means it is impossible to use in my setup, in my potted setup. Imagine putting a top layer of Synthic. If I would water, all the water will just run down the pot and the Synthic would not get wet. And this makes it totally not like sphagnum moss, which is actually supposed to copy. However, ooh, it's wet here. Microfiber, pretty much it does what sphagnum moss does, even better, because sphagnum moss does repel a little bit of water, but not for too long. Synthic, on the other hand, I just really need to insist to get it wet. That's not how it's supposed to work. So because I'm switching the Synthic with the microfiber, I thought, well, what if I try to use microfiber as sphagnum moss in my pots? So that's what we're gonna do today. So for today's experiment, we're gonna pot an orchid into microfiber. Now, because microfiber is very soft and flexible, especially when it's wet, we do run the risk of actually suffocating the roots. That's not what we want. So I will need to mix it with a non-water absorbent material, a material that does not compact, and also, so we stay within the inorganic era, something that doesn't break down. And you know what? I'm not gonna use clay today. Let's just take a break from clay. I can understand how some people don't like clay. Not to mention, many people don't find clay materials in their area. Also, both Seramis and leca need to be prepared before use. And as we all know, they have a lot of dust. So let's just try something else. Here I have polystyrene. Now this is the same material they make packing peanuts out of. Sadly, I don't have polystyrene and I don't have packing peanuts, so what I did was I went to the supermarket and I got a polystyrene coffee cup and I just chopped it. Not very ideal, I have to say. It would have been better if I had bigger and thicker chunks. I just don't. We're gonna try this now, just for the sake of experimenting, but yeah. And the orchid that we're gonna pot is a twinkle. This is one that I received recently from Max, and there is a reason why I'm choosing this orchid. It likes a lot of moisture, so the microfiber will provide that. It is an epiphyte, it likes air, so we're gonna try to provide air. I do have my standard little tiny drinking cup in which I poked some holes, but also I discovered that quite a few orchids with flimsy roots, such as the twinkles and even the Miltoniopsis, sadly, they do from time to time get some desiccated root tips, particularly if they are on the top. These guys do like moisture. Clay, if it gets too dry, it can affect the roots, and I've always wanted something like Synthic, something soft for their little fragile roots that will not damage them in any way. Not saying clay doesn't work, I'm just saying it's not perfect. So that's why I chose this guy and not a Phalaenopsis, which usually volunteers for experiments. So here I have a lot of polystyrene that I chopped up. I also have microfiber that I cut into thinner pieces. It's coming from this microfiber mop because it's already cut a little bit, so it's just gonna save up time. It's brand new and unused. And now I'm just gonna try to mix all of these together. It's pretty hard because polystyrene gets charged a little bit, so it tends to stick on plastics and stuff. I'm just gonna try to mix it and pluck a part of it in the pot. I think at this point that I need to prepare a little more. Alrighty, so I have some more medium now. It's so frustrating to work with polystyrene. Stay. It's like magic. Ooh. Okay, fun time over. It's late, you need to edit this video. Stop flying! Welcome to MissOrchidGirl, where we like to play with static electricity. So, yeah, I think this is enough. Let's place the orchid, and let's place a few more strings around the roots, just like we would with sphagnum moss. And we're done. Now let's just see how this waters. First, we're gonna try the, oops, I think I need more water. Anyway, first the semi-hydro method. And it's actually working. The level is almost completely gone. It's actually working, you guys. The microfiber sucks up the water. Do you see this? It literally took a few seconds. Wow. Okay, so we can water from below, but now let's see for the top, as a top layer. Okay, I have to say I was pretty impressed with that, with the wicking capabilities. Let's try from the top. It just sucks it up immediately. Wow. Okay, this definitely works. You can see it go all the way down. So now I have the option to water a little bit more or just leave it like that. This works exactly like Seramis, in the sense that you can actually adjust the quantity of water you can put in the pot. If it's winter, you can put a small amount and let the microfiber disperse it evenly. Or if it's summer, you can just water a lot, let the water accumulate in the tray. It's gonna be sucked up or it's gonna evaporate. Alrighty, I'm excited, I have to tell you. Okay, so the way I see it, microfiber is totally a dupe for Synthic. I think it's even better than Synthic because, as you saw with the mop test, even after multiple uses, it still sucks up the water really fast, unlike the Synthic. So it's good for a top layer, at least that. If it's good as a medium, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm seeing it exactly like sphagnum moss with the same drawbacks and the same advantages. It retains a lot of water, plus it doesn't degrade, so it's a little bit better than sphagnum moss, I think. But also, if it's too compacted, it can definitely suffocate the roots. For this reason, I think it needs to be mixed with something. I tried to find some polystyrene, but packing peanuts, I do believe, are a much better choice. But also, do you see, I do still have air pockets in between the microfiber as well. I didn't compact it a lot. Now when it dries, it shouldn't really attract as much water as Seramis. So I'm thinking it's not gonna desiccate the roots. Before it comes in contact with water, there is that one little millisecond where it starts to repel it a little bit because, you know, it's fluffy. When a material is fluffy, it retains air. So when you put water on it, initially it's not gonna soak it up. So that's what I'm thinking. It's not gonna desiccate roots. If that's the case, then yay, I found a top layer. Whether it's gonna mold, if it's gonna be prone to algae or things of the sorts, I'm not sure. It might be, but that's what I intend to find out. I'm truly excited, you guys, and I'll tell you why. I'm well aware that not many of you are able to invest or willing to invest into Seramis. I have to say the bigger chunked Seramis is more versatile, but it's harder to find. And yet again, I can understand that you don't find it or you don't like how it looks like. Also the dust thing, all the preparations and all of that, you know, I get it. It's a nice material, it's very useful, but I get it. So maybe microfiber will provide a good top layer, at least if not an entire medium. It's easy to find by anybody. It's also cheap. You don't have to spend a lot of money on it. And from that cap that you see there, I think you can make quite a lot of pots. Because I make videos for all of you, not for people who can get Seramis or like all people who like Seramis. So thank you for watching. I will keep you up to date. I have to tell you guys, I am really excited by this thing because it's a perfect dupe for Synthic, which is an Orchid intended product, but it doesn't work so well. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe to my channel for regular orchid and plants videos. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And with that said, I'll see you all next time. Bye. Now I chose green microfiber because it will get algae. Anything that has nutrients and stays moist will accumulate algae. Might as well make them a little bit more invisible, right? Now, what I hope will not happen is this thing getting completely covered with algae. But I don't know, we'll see. My mom's Vanda has no algae at all, which is fantastic, and she has it like that for a few months. So we'll see what happens.